Welcome to Mal's 5-step plan to make reading her whole personality.
That was it.
I think that was it. I wanted to do that thing where I pulled the thing down, but Adrian can't stand here all day. So yeah, Mal's 5-step action plan. Action is implied to make reading her whole personality. Welcome to class. This is truly a one-on-one tutoring session, me to me, and you're along for the ride. Feel free to follow along. Feel free to not follow along. There's no tests. There's no grade. But by God, we're gonna whip me into shape, okay? I wanted to do this because I want to be a girl that I'm not quite. I want to be able to talk about books, know what I'm talking about, have a general knowledge that is just this base layer that I can then go off of. I feel like sometimes I'm lacking in a few areas, namely, well, we'll go through them. Let's begin. Here's what I've come up with. Step 1. What's step 1? Step 1, have a clue. Have a clue. This means I need to know the world of literature. I need to know authors and their works, all the genres. I need to dip my toe, my mental toe, in all the little pools of literature. This means that I'll be able to have a conversation with whoever about books, you know? I can say I like books and I can know what you are talking about. Oh, I've never heard of that author. Awkward. I want to heard of the author, okay? I want to be able to wear a shirt that says Nietzsche, and when someone says, you like Nietzsche, name 5 songs, I can. Hey, don't look at the part in the back of my head, okay? That's not your business. Converse with, I'm trying to say have an intelligent conversation with any kind of reader. And just a tertiary knowledge. I feel like the camera should be, I feel like I want to be over here and camera's over here. Okay, look at me. Look at me better. Just a tertiary knowledge of fantasy and romance. I don't need to know as much as I do. Can you guys read this? Step number 2, make a plan. This means to make a solid reading list. I need to know in general what I'm talking about. That doesn't involve reading, that involves research. This involves a plan to read. Side note, I hate the word TBR. Sorry, when did we decide that that was normal vernacular? To be read? To be read? Weird. Reading list. Again, different genres. It needs to be diverse. Can you read this? And then I was thinking that's it. Number 3. Read. Read a lot. This step is about free time. If reading is my personality, I'm gonna be spending time doing it. This is not something I set aside time for. This is something I'm always doing. In line, at the gym, anytime I have downtime, I wanna reach for a book. Read more, read more, read more. And this means cutting out a lot of scrolling. We're all trying to do it. We're all trying to get rid of that urge, that swipe, that dope. Yeah, read more. Okay, step number 4. This is an important one. Sound smarter. This means improve my vocabulary when I talk about books. One thing about making videos is that I watch myself and I realize that I use the same 4 words to describe books. And I want to ingrain some better words into my head, some better phrases that I can use. So this will involve some thesaurus.com and some watching videos of people that I think describe books really well. I'm gonna write down some phrases and just really try to make that vocabulary solid in my head. Let me write a few words that I really need to knock out of my regular rotation. Fun, I say that all the time. Good, bad, interesting, boring, and boring. We can get more into the heart of why it was boring, why it was interesting, what makes it fun. Are you taking notes? Are you taking notes? You don't have to. You don't have to, but you can. You can. If you need, we'll be right here. Pause if you need. Here's the kicker. I don't have a step 5. I don't have a step 5. I lied. It sounded better, okay? That's it. I tried to think of one. I tried. already been at this like an hour and a half, and I haven't even got through all the classic authors. So I'm on a mission right now, but I have learned quite a bit. Like, I did not realize I read I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith, and I didn't realize she also wrote 101 Dalmatians. That is so cool. I did not know that F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote Benjamin Button. Did you know that? Is that common knowledge? Did you know that Truman Capote, who wrote like the biggest American true crime novel called In Cold Blood, also wrote Breakfast at Tiffany's? This is amazing. I am truly learning. I have been studying late into the night. Late. There's so much to know. Literally, I've been studying authors all day. Okay, so with the classic authors, I was very detailed. It's good to know the classics. Those are the basics. They are our forefathers, our ancestors, and without them, we would be nowhere. When it got to more modern stuff, some of it, I just wrote down some names that maybe I want to look into later. And I feel like now I know I've heard of names, so if people bring them up, I can say, hey, I have heard that name before. I don't know where that gets me, but it feels like it's further than where I was. But I feel like I have a good list coming along. I'll type it up for you and I'll fax it over. It's the next day. Welcome, welcome. Do you like this? Do you like it? I think I've come to a stopping place in my research, and now it's time to make my list. My goal is to make a list of 10. I wanted to add 10 books to my reading list this year that were must-reads for my book education. But the list is feeling long, and I don't know if I can keep it to 10 books. But how do we pick 10? The thing is I all 24 of these are still going to be on my list. This isn't going to stop me from wanting to read these books, but I'm going to pick 10 to really focus on. I'm going to pick 10 to tell you about. Here's the official list. In no particular order. The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. The Master and the Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. White Teeth by Zadie Smith. The Diary of a Nobody by George and Whedon Grossmith. You may have never heard of this. I have. The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Gotta read a Kafka. Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. Slaughterhouse-Five, Kurt Vonnegut. Hey girl, I know you're doing your best. Great job on the video. Awesome job. But that's 9 books. That's it. Thanks. Bye. You're like, you haven't read any of those, Mallory? Oh, have you even read a book? And the answer is no. God, I can't see you. Popping in to say, I added another book to my list. I'm gonna make it 11. My reading list can be as long as I want it to be. I want to read something by Bret Easton Ellis. He wrote American Psycho. So I think I'm just gonna pick up whatever is available at my local library by him and just go with luck of the draw. Luck of the draw. Okay, also I want to add Edith Wharton to the list, and I'm just going to add a number 12. I want to add The Age of Innocence by Eden Wharton as a must-read this year. Done. Step 3 is read more. So here I am at lunch. Instead of watching YouTube, I'm going to read, and I'm going to start The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. This wasn't on don't make me say that word. This wasn't on my reading list, but it was on my shelf. This copy used to be owned by Adam Smith. Yes. I'm in my pajamas and it's only 5:40, but I'm not leaving. In fact, I'm staying, and I'm making some brownies, and I'm listening to an audiobook.
Walking to the same boy they were talking and expose an MSN relationship with a Stanmore. The following year, Italian chain restaurant.
Breakfast is served. Cheesy egg avocado taco, a brownie, and Hemingway, of course. Time for step 4. I'm just gonna kind of do some sleuthing, read some book reviews, and I'm gonna make notes. What are some words that are interesting and stick out to me? As I was watching Anna Wallace Johnson's video, at one point she called a book startling.
This was a startling little book.
It immediately grabbed my attention. I thought, what's startling about the book? What startled you? Like, what a descriptive word.
Okay, let's go get something.
What should we get?
Here, let me see if that CJ's Tacos place is open.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're open till 9.
Let's go.
You wanna go?
Yeah. Okay, be back later. Gotta say goodbye to the audience. Say bye, babe.
Bye.
Okay, here's what's happened. I have put in some thought to what I want to change about how I talk about books. And the number one thing I want to change is I want to say less and I want to say like less. I say those words so much. Okay. And I cut a lot of them out. Like just slips in there and I can't always cut that one out. But if I showed you my unedited footage, you would be gravely disappointed. So, I want to give you my reviews on the books that I have been reading while I've been filming this video. And here's the challenge. I'm gonna review them for you unedited, coming at you live from my office. I'm gonna try and get through a whole review speaking eloquently. I want to say what I want to say without going like it's really like good and like none of that. You won't know how many times I filmed this though. You won't know. This is the first time. Is it? I don't know. It is. It is. Unless. Here we go. Unedited. Okay, the first book I read was called... What was it called? Fuck. Start over. Okay, the first book I read was called Nothing to See Here by... Who's it by? I'm not ready for this. Take 3. The first book I read was called Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. I was a little bit disappointed by this book because I think I was expecting something absurdist. I don't know why, it could have been the cover, but something about this book, including the description, made me think that this was sort of a little experimental, absurdist, enigmatic little book. Slightly more on the literature side of things than like than the pop lit side of things. Unfortunately, I was disappointed. I was expecting something unexpected, and it was unexpected because it was expected, if that makes sense. It was not what I expected, and it was a little bit expected. I feel stressed. I can't cut this out. Oh no. Okay. It was, maybe I can just get back in the same position and you won't notice if I make a cut. It was a story about a woman who is hired. She's like, oh, I'm so bad at this. Scratch it all. I can't do this unedited. I can't. I don't have enough light in the day left to do this unedited. And the goal is to not say and like, regardless. Okay. It's about a woman who is down on her luck. She is hardened from the big bad world, and she is called by her best friend to come be a nanny for these 2 children who catch fire when they get emotional. From that point on, the story is as you would expect. She kind of falls in love with them, begins to open up her heart, and the children love her, even though at first they're very guarded and on edge. And they eventually learn to control their fire, but never fully tamp it out because that's what makes them unique and it's part of who they are. And you know what? It was very, very reminiscent of The House in the Cerulean Sea, which was one of my least favorite books I ever read. This was like that, but not as bad. The main character in House in the Cerulean Sea was like... The main character in The House in the Cerulean Sea was overly perfect, way too lovable, so much that I hated him. This main character was a shitty person, which I also didn't love her, but at least it was interesting. The end. I did okay with that review. I caught myself, at least. I heard it when I said like, and I restarted my sentence. Okay, the second book I read was The Old Man and the Sea, Ernest Hemingway. This book was surprisingly delightful. I loved it. It was short, it was quick, but it packed a cute little punch. I didn't expect the tension that I felt reading this book, the anxiety, the anticipation. It was gripping. This old man is trying to catch a fish, and that's it. That's the book. I mean, it's the perfect length. It covers this little, exciting little story that is entertaining, but really about being human. I love when the old man is talking to himself, and then he's like, wait, maybe that's not true, and he starts like contradicting himself. I think that's so funny. I love the quickly but deeply painted relationship between the boy and the old man. I love the themes of resilience and hope even when everything is lost, just the continuation of hope. This is such a cute, I don't know if cute is the right word. I have a whole list. Let me read a word. This is such a charming but powerful little book. I'm currently in the middle of Dolly Alderton's Everything I Know About Love. It is lovely. It's funny. She is so witty and sharp and crass and very British. I kept hearing people say, you have to read this book in your 20s. It just captures the essence of your 20s so well. And I cannot relate. Cannot relate, girl. But I'm living vicariously. She is such a party girl. She is drinking, she is doing drugs, she is hanging out with rich old men. I'm not there with you, Dolly. I don't understand it, but I like watching it. I love it. I love hearing about it. It's so funny. Okay, so that concludes my little reviews, and I think that concludes this video. You know what helped me the most? Watching a lot of YouTubers, and I'm finding so many small baby YouTubers that have just a small little following but are interested in different kinds of books. There are so many niche tastes out there that I am getting to experience, and I also love watching small YouTubers because I love how they talk about books, how people who are passionate and just want to record themselves talking about books. I love to watch that. There will be a pop quiz tomorrow, so I hope you were taking notes. Just kidding, I said there was no grade. There is a grade. There is a grade. It's on a curve. For those of you that have passed, I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next class. I don't know how to end this video.